Let's get to the losers. We have to get to the losers here. First of all, before we get to them, Thomas Edward Brady, you are not low, my guy. I watched that interview you had with Pat in the pregame. You said, "Yo, Patrick." By the way, this nigga pronounces words in the funniest way ever. Like he just talks like he's the richest nigga. The granted, he had a watch that's worth more than every block on my house. I mean, every house on my block. But the way he just put, he said, "Yeah, the way as a quarterback in socks." Like the way he just talked weird. Anyway, he told a nigga, "If y'all 3P, nobody be happy than me." But as Pat was progressively failing throughout the night, he got more and more giddy in his voice. He's like, "Well, don't know if you heard, but my first 9 Super Bowls. Saying my first 9 Super Bowls is one of the craziest flexes I ever heard ever. My first 9 Super Bowls, nigga, I did this. They were down like 31-6. He was like, "Well, I was down more. We were down 20-3, and we still won." And it's like as the beatdown got worse and worse, he was just like, "Well, so much for that." And it's like he just got more giddy and giddy. And this is something where, leading into this first thing about something that Bang has been saying for about a year and a half now on this program, and that is stop crowning niggas before they career is up. And there was so many people, GOAT this, GOAT that, greatest team ever. When they were doing ESPN stats, greatest quarterback in his 20s. And now he lost and got beat down. Not only get beat down, the offensive line was bad, but as a nigga that's watched a lot of Caleb Williams this year, some of them sacks was his fault. He was stepping in to them sacks in that game. That was the worst game I've ever seen from Patrick Mahomes in his entire career. Even when they got beat down against Tampa a couple years, he didn't look as bad as that. Yesterday, he looked like a Bears quarterback. I never thought I'd say that. He looked like a Bears quarterback, and it was just bad. And I think that we need to put in perspective what Tom Brady did. What Tom Brady did is just some stuff we just never gonna see again. When we compare longevity, I know everybody likes to bring up LeBron, and this is no hate to LeBron. I think LeBron, from an individual statistic standpoint, is doing something we've never seen in the history of the NBA. But Brady was still winning championships in his late 30s, early 40s, won a Super Bowl in his 40s, won an MVP in his 40s. Those are things that LeBron is not going to do. And when you compare the winning, that's why I put Michael Jordan on such a high, pedestal. There hasn't been a 3P in American sports in 23 years. Shaq and Kobe Bryant were the last ones to do it. Michael Jordan did that twice in an 8-year span. Like, I don't think we understand. Like, when it happened, a couple years after it happened, it was crazy. But almost 30 years since the 6th championship, it seems even more asinine that they were able to do that. And this is nothing towards Pat. I think, there's a lot more in this career, not even 30 yet. But I do think for the moment, we need to pipe down a little bit and understand what Tom did is not the norm. And no matter how great Pat has been, you got to remember, it took 10 years for Brady to get ring number 4. And when it comes about the GOAT conversation, we usually chill out for a little bit when it comes to that. Bang, I'm going to give you the floor on this.
Thank you. Now, yes, I did say if Kansas City wins, man, you got to go ahead and put him up in there because 3P, he's done something that nobody has done, and he still got time. But man, we gotta stop. I blame sports radio and TV for this. You have to anoint somebody. Somebody has to be this. Somebody got to be that. The whole LeBron James and Michael Jordan conversation. Like, you got to chase the ghost and all of that. Let people careers play out. Like, if you want to have that conversation in Twilight of motherfucker career, then have that. But then you go on TV today and like, did he take himself out the GOAT conversation? He shouldn't have never been in that type of conversation. We should never have had to even discuss, could he be the GOAT now? Because things happen. He could win 2, lose this one, and be huff for the rest of the career. He could be like Chuck Knobloch and get the yips. And next thing you know, he's done. He could unfortunately get injured. There's so much stuff that can happen that's going to make people look at him differently. Let careers marinate. That's why I hate the whole conversation about if albums are classic and it just got released 3 days ago. You gotta let the body of work be done before you start anointing people to that, unless they give you special reason to. He would have got 3 in a row. Conversation need to be had, but that hasn't. And now look at y'all backtracking about could he be the GOAT? Could he be the greatest of all time? Because he got his ass whooped twice in 2 Super Bowls. Not once, but twice. And the 2 Super Bowls that Patrick Mahomes lost, he's gotten his ass beat.
And I think that's an important point. The 3 Super Bowls that Tom Brady lost were 1-score games, and 2 of them because of catches you will never again see in your life. The Tyree catch in 2007 and the Mario Manningham catch in 2011. Special Swank says in the chat, hot take yesterday was a loss that brings the Chiefs back to reality for real. Wouldn't surprise to take a decent step back next year. I'm genuinely curious about what it's gonna look like next year. Because this offense, and even though I think Matt Nagy is a cool guy, and I've always said this, I'm not just saying this because nigga gave me an interview. I always thought Matt Nagy was a cool guy. He just shouldn't be a head coach. But that offense has not looked spectacular since he's been back these last couple of seasons. Let's just keep it a buck. They won the championship last year because of the defense. It's a much different look between 4-1 and 3-2 in the Super Bowl. Before I go to you, Courtney, I just want to say breaking news. The new owner of the Minnesota Timberwolves is Mr. Alex Rodriguez. The courts have approved it. It's official. Glenn Taylor tried to finesse it, but him and Mark Lowry, his partner, will be the next owners of the Minnesota Timberwolves and the WNBA's Minnesota Lynx. So big shout out to A-Rod, man. I don't care what niggas said about A-Rod. I've been team A-Rod since day one. I don't get starstruck, but when I met A-Rod at the Clippers game last year, I got very starstruck. I was a massive fan of A-Rod. Big shout out to A-Rod, man. Said half the games KC won the shouldn't have. Yeah, well, you can say that about every team in the NFL. The boys play with fire all day. That is true. They play with fire all year, and it came back to bite them in the end. Courtney, what do you think about the GOAT conversation with Mr. Patrick Mahomes?
I mean, I don't think it's a bad conversation to have, before the game, considering what was at stake, right? Like anytime you have something, and a team and a quarterback has the potential to do something that's never been done before, I feel like you kind of have to have the dialogue at least. Now, I do completely agree with you though, Bang. You can't crown somebody and anoint somebody before the body of work has been completed. We have these kinds of conversations about Russell Wilson. Like, did he play himself out of the Hall of Fame? Right? Did he? We can unpack that another time. I'm actually just thinking about that now. But no, I don't think it's a bad conversation to have. It's just, he's not there yet. That's okay. That's okay. He's not there yet. And I don't know if he ever will. I don't know if he ever will. What Tom Brady did was incredible. And I personally don't think it'll ever be done again. So for me, he'll always be the GOAT.
Triple double hat trick, I know the code too. Ice trade, go for trade, yeah we cold too. Getting paper on these player haters, old news. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not